Oh, I'm glad to be here. Glad you guys squeezed me in.
Hey, absolutely. Wouldn't give it up for the world. Charlie and I gave some really hackneyed bad advice, so you've got 5 minutes to straighten it all out.
To save all your fantasy fans from disaster.
So go at it.
The green-white checkered finish is apropos because of last year's finish to the Glen. Oiled down the track, Kyle Busch got spun out of the lead, and that could happen to a lot of fantasy owners too. But the big news this week being Tony Stewart's broken leg and how that impacts fantasy racing, I'm not sure it really is going to impact all that much because I don't think he would have been that great of a value anyway, given how he performed at Sonoma earlier in the year. I will lean towards Jeff Gordon a little bit more. I think he's got momentum on his side, and even though he struggled on road courses in recent years, he should be able to do okay this year and probably be the top Group A value. If not him, Keselowski had a strong run last year. Could have won if he had made it through the chicane without Ambrose all over his back bumper. Down in B, I think Kyle Busch, even though he struggled at Sonoma, he performs much better here at the Glen throughout his career than he has at Sonoma anyway. He was in a position to win last week. He's got a string of top tens coming into this event. And I think Kyle Busch could be one of the top two values. Marcus Ambrose obviously being the next best value there. And just sort of squeeze this in, jump all the way down to Group C, and I think Allmendinger could be your top pick. He had a string of top 15s before he lost his ride. He's always been a decent driver here, and last week was a scare for fantasy owners because it appears that the number 51 has become a start and park team until they get the sale completed. Might not want to start him when you get back to an oval, but he's in the 47 this week and could be good for a top 15, which could make him one of the better values overall.
Dan, Dan, I was going to go ahead, and then I'll ask you. I was going to ask you really quickly about Owen Kelly in the 51. Speaking of that as well, so go ahead and finish your thought, and then maybe you can comment on whether they will start in park.
Well, I doubt they will start in park, and the thought that I was just about to express was, I believe the Road Ringers might be relevant again. Borsed and Ron Fellows both had relatively strong runs in Sonoma. Said finished 18th. I think Fellows finished 22nd. So the Road Ringers are showing that they can perform up to Group C standards at least if they get track position at the end. The number 51, I doubt they'll start in park this week because they've been planning on making this run for Kelly for quite some time. So I think they'll put a full effort into it, and it's a lot easier to run longer distances on the road courses than it is on the ovals. Less likely to do a lot of damage to your engine, so long as you've got someone that doesn't miss shifts. And with Kelly coming out of the V8 Supercar Series, he could be a good value, but it's a risk, and the risk being that Jacques Villeneuve should have been a good value at Sonoma and park early too.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Steve took Steve's pick was Jimmy Johnson. I took Juan Pablo Montoya for 3 in a row, and Beth Ann's. Who did you take? Oh, you took She took Marcus Ambrose. Who do you like to win this week?
I got to go with Ambrose. He won the last 2 races here. Never finished worse than third at Watkins Glen. I don't think he stumbles this week either.
All right. Well, Dan, thanks for
talking fast, for a Texan talking fast.
That was good. That was good. Thanks for joining us for the bonus segment of On Pit Road this week. We're taking a week off next week. I sent you a text about it. Steve's got plans. So we're going to
heading out towards your part of the country.
We're going to do a best of show next week, but we'll be back in 2 weeks with the pre-Michigan International Speedway show, and we'll look forward to talking to you then.
I'll be here.
All right, Dan
Thanks,
Beaver.
Dan.
Follow him on Twitter at Fantasy Race. Read all of his fantasy prognostications and articles at NASCAR.com and YahooSports.com. Dan is the best in the business, and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong by following his advice. And if he'd ever, if he was a better teacher and he could teach us to listen to him,